welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hey, how you doing? My name is Ash. I am a makeup artist and a book lover. In today's video, I thought it'd be fun to sort of rank and swatch all of my foundations. So I have currently 12 foundations, technically 13, but it's the same brand, same everything, just different shades. So I'm going to go and swatch all my foundations to show you what is my best match, which one doesn't work for me, why I like something, why I don't. So let's just jump into it. So in no particular order, I'm going to start swatching. And I'm going to do swatches on my chest because that's going to be the most accurate since I already have a foundation on. But if you're curious, the foundation I'm wearing today is the Smashbox Always On foundation. This is a phenomenal foundation, by the way. Typically when I choose a foundation, I choose the lightest shade possible, and I usually try to go for an undertone of cool or neutral. I don't wear yellow foundations because they don't look right on me. Okay, going to start with the first one. This is the Urban Decay Face Bond. I have this in the shade 1 Fair Cool, and I'm just gonna do a little swatch there. This does say that's cool, but I feel like it pulls a little more yellow on me. I think I did too big of a swatch. Just gonna clean up a little bit, just so I have enough room to do all of these. This is supposed to be a self-setting foundation. It leans more matte. I do have dry skin, so I don't love it. Don't hate it. Next up is the Uoma by Sharon. This is the Flawless IRL Skin Perfecting Foundation. I have it in the White Pearl T1 shade, which is the lightest shade. I'll just do a little bit there. This is a really great foundation. You can see it seems a little bit lighter than the Urban Decay one, so you can kind of see the difference in colors for the two lightest shades. As this dries down, you'll see which ones oxidize and which ones don't. But moving on to the next one, which is from Merit. This is the Minimalist stick, and I have it in the shade Bone. As I'm filming this right now, Merit did just release new shades of this. They have a lighter one now, which I would love to pick up because Bone is not my shade. This was their previous lightest shade, and as you can see, not light at all. I do like this though. It is really great in the wintertime for me, and I am 100% going to pick up the lightest shade, but you can kind of see just how dark it is compared to the other ones. Next up is a 2-for-1. This is from Ruby Kisses. It is their cream foundation in the level 1 tone, so you have two different shades. Oh my god, this is really dry. You kind of get the shades here. You can kind of see those are not light at all. This top one, which is this side, looks very similar to the Merit one shade wise. This other shade would probably work as like a corrector, but just as my foundation, does not work. I'm gonna have to take off this shirt because I don't want foundation on it. Next up are my two foundations from TirTir. So I have the 13C shade Fair and the 10C Shell. I really like these foundations. I got two different shades because I bought the mini first and then I got the large one. So first up is gonna be, this is 13C, which actually does pull darker on me. I hope the lighting is showing these accurately, but that is 13C. The 10C Shell I think works the best for me because look at how light that is. That is perfect. I'm just obsessed with that shade. And then I have the Smashbox Halo Glow All-in-One Tinted Moisturizer. This is in the shade Fair. This one does not match. Does not match. This is, I believe, their lightest shade. It is a gorgeous formula. I still wear this even though it's too dark on me. Perfect. You can kind of definitely see just how dark that is. It's very yellow, very not to my shade, and I did not do this in a straight line. I do like the formula on this. I can get away with wearing it if I mix it with something or if I make sure that I do a very, very light layer because it does sheer out pretty well, but I also have to do a really light concealer just to kind of balance it all out because that way too dark. Next is the Anastasia Beauty Balm. I have this in the shade 1, which is their lightest shade. Pretty big swatch. This is light on me. This is a little bit more finicky to work with, but as you can see, it is lighter compared to some of the other ones. It is a little bit less in coverage, but I still enjoy it. Next is the IT Cosmetics CC Plus Natural Matte. I have it in the shade Fair. I do have another one of these in another shade. It's a shade higher. It's way too dark for me. I'm not even gonna try to put that on my skin. This one's still dark on me though. This is their lightest shade. To claim this as a light shade is laughable because like, in what world is that fair? in what world is that pale? It's good coverage. It's, you know, covering up my tattoo pretty well, but shade-wise, no. Just no. One of my all-time favorites is the Performer by About Face. This is in F0 Cool, which is their lightest shade, right in the center. You can see just how light it is. I love this one. It is possibly my favorite, but that is definitely super light. I really like the shade on this one because it works for me. It just works for me. Next up is from Bare Minerals. This is the Complexion Rescue Tinted Hydrating Gel Cream. I have this in Birch 1.5, which is definitely not their lightest shade, and it's definitely not my color. It is definitely dark. It is very comparable to the Smashbox one in the shade-wise, and I don't love that. And we have the KVD Good Apple Serum Foundation. This is in Light 002. What I like about KVD foundations is they do go super light, but sometimes the formula on it just does not work for me. As you can see, that is super, super light. Definitely a little bit more full coverage, but compared to the other ones, much lighter. And the one that I'm currently wearing is the Smashbox Always On Skin Balancing Foundation. I have this in the shade F10N, which is the lightest neutral shade. I'm going to do that one right at my neckline. This one is neutral. I feel like it does work as a neutral shade. And you can see the lightest shades have such a range of color. But that is the Smashbox one. It's a great foundation. I really like the shade match on me, but just the generality of the light shades don't really work for me, and it's making me realize I should get rid of some of these. Should definitely get rid of some of these. So now that my chest is fully decorated, I'm going to go ahead and swatch these on my arm to give you a good view of what they look like side by side in a row. I'll do it in the same exact order that I did on my chest. Alright, and here are all of my foundations just swatched out on my arm. They're not blended out. I just wanted you to see just as they are, how they come out, what they look like. Such a range of colors. Honestly didn't expect them to be this different in coloring. That is absolutely crazy since most of these are the lightest shade, so that is very interesting. So you have Urban Decay, Uoma by Sharon C, Merit, Ruby Kisses, TirTir, Smashbox, Anastasia, It Cosmetics, About Face, Bare Minerals, KVD, and Smashbox again. I'm just gonna clean up my arm really quick and let's get into the actual ranking of these, because man, do I have some thoughts. Alright, let's go from bottom of the barrel to the best. Right off the bat, the bottom one is gonna be this one, which is the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue. Not only is the shade wrong for me, I just don't really care for the formula on this. It's a thicker formula, it's a little bit more finicky to work with, and I don't know if it's because mine is just old, or maybe if I had a shade that worked for me, I could make it work, but I can't wear this on its own. I have to mix it with something, and I have to use the bare minimum of it because otherwise it just gets really messy. So this one's in the bottom. Next up is gonna be the one from It Cosmetics. I did do a first impressions with this and it went horribly. This looks horrible on my skin. I didn't realize just how dark this was until I compared it to these other shades, but oh my god, that's a hard no. So the next worst one is going to go to Ruby Kisses. This is way too dark for me, and this is the lightest shade, and I don't really care for foundations that come in like a cream form like this. I've tried like the KVD one before in the past, and I did enjoy that for the time being, but for the day-to-day, it's just not into it. Not into it. Just gonna wipe these off as I eliminate them. Now, unfortunately, based on shade, I'm gonna have to give the next worst spot to the Smashbox Halo Healthy Glow. Will I still use this? Yes. Do I still absolutely love it? Yes, but just shade-wise, that is so much darker than literally everything else. I wish they would come out with a lighter shade because I would just buy so many of these. But alas, I believe this is the lightest shade. If I am wrong, I will correct it in the description. I will say though, I like the formula. I like the way that it lasts. It has SPF. It's just the shade. I have been fooling myself wearing this out in public. Next one is going to go to Urban Decay. I love that Urban Decay sent this to me, but this just does not work for me. More so formula wise than color wise. This did darken a little bit as it dried down. I don't love that. It doesn't overly bother me, but I like that it is set down. Like, that is set. I like that aspect of it. But this one just does not work for my skin type. I am more on the dry side. My skin has been leaning a little bit more normal, but this just emphasized all of my dryness, all of the bad parts of my skin this emphasized. Number 7 is going to go to TirTir. This is the 13C Fair Shade in their Mask Fit Red Cushion. I really like this. When I got it, even though it was a little bit too dark on me, I still wore it. I can still get away with wearing it. I just have to be very careful with it. But the formula of this foundation is phenomenal, and that is why I picked up the lighter shade, because I knew I was just going to absolutely love it. But this one, just for the shade, knocking it down. Now we're going to get a little bit more finicky with this. I am going to put the KVD Good Apple Serum one next, because even though this shade is really light on me, I love that aspect. It's a little bit more full coverage, and that's not something I typically gravitate towards. I love it for special occasions, but it's not something that I'm reaching for all the time. I like the shade. I like the coverage of it. Sometimes I can make this work for me. Sometimes I can't. It can be a little bit like finicky, but when it works well. But when it works bad, it's horrible. But when I want a full beat, this is what I go for. Anastasia Beauty Balm. I like the shade of this. It is a good match for me. As opposed to the KVD one, this one is like the opposite, where it's a little bit more sheer. I do like this. I do think that it looks bad when you first apply it, but as it warms up to your skin throughout the day, at least on myself, it looks better throughout the day than when I first apply it. Sometimes I hate that, sometimes I don't mind it. Therefore, I think the 5th spot is a good spot for that. Did I say 5th? I think that's supposed to be 6th. The actual number 5 is going to go to the Smashbox Always On Foundation. This one is fantastic. It's a decent shade match for me. It does oxidize just a little bit, but what I love about this foundation is it looks beautiful for hours of the day. I can wear this for a full 10-hour work shift and it still looks good at the end of the day. This is one that I like to reach for when I know I need the coverage and I need it to last for quite a long time. This is a beautiful foundation. I am very happy with it, and like I said, I do believe this is the lightest shade. If they had a lighter shade, I would pick it up. The oxidation doesn't bother me too much. So the number 4 spot is going to go to the Uoma by Sharon Sheet Foundation. I love this foundation. It is more of a medium coverage. You can build it up, and they have a great shade range. So I don't know if this brand is still around, because I think it's no longer in Walmart. Uoma by Sharon C is sort of like a sister company to Uoma Beauty, and Uoma Beauty has a very wide range of foundations. Their Stay Watt foundation is also phenomenal. I just don't own it anymore, but it is a really great foundation. This one is very comparable, but it's usually much more affordable. And then there were 3. The 3rd spot is going to go to my Merit Minimalist stick. Granted, this is darker. I should have put this lower because it's so dark, but I really love the formula of this and the fact that they did come out with lighter shades. They came out with multiple new shades because they listened to the feedback of their customers. And I love that the fact that they have a lighter shade, and I believe that shade is going to be perfect for me. I just need to get my grubby little hands on it. But this is such a beautiful, I don't even know if we can call it a foundation, because it's so just almost natural looking. It's very easy to use. You just swipe it on. I like to blend it out with a brush, and it works wonderfully on me. Since the shade is a little bit too dark on me, I do have to go in and like brighten my face with concealer. But regardless, it is a really great foundation, and I am very happy that I was able to try this. And I cannot wait to get the lightest shade. So now which one is going to be my number 1? About Face or TirTir? I think I'm going to have to give it to About Face. I love the TirTir foundation. The 10C Shell shade is a perfect match for me. Obviously, it's hard to tell, but it blends in so beautifully. I love it. It can get a little heavy on me if I am careful with it and just apply just the lightest layer. It is a great coverage. It is long lasting. The shade is great. It doesn't cling to any dry patches. It doesn't emphasize any problem areas, and I love this foundation. I'm ranking this number 2 because I find that I'm not reaching for it as often as I'm reaching for my About Face foundation. This one gets holy grail status for me. I am obsessed with it. It has never once looked horrible on my skin. It has not emphasized anything bad. It hasn't overly settled into fine lines. I'm getting older, so things are gonna settle in lines, and it doesn't bother me that much unless it's just like really bad. The shade is really great. I am obsessed with it. I have one complaint with it though. One complaint, and that is it's a little rough getting this out. And sometimes the foundation gets flung. But I love this. I love the shade. I love the price of it. I am fully obsessed with it. I am forever going to buy backups for this. This has been my favorite foundation to use throughout the summer. So 100% this is my number 1 foundation, and I am so happy to have it in my life. Alright, my chest is sufficiently very red from all those foundations that is not my skin having a reaction to the foundation. It's just me scrubbing my skin. So I hope that you found this a little bit helpful. If you're someone who is around the same skin tone as me, you know that it's a struggle to find a decent pale shade with some of these brands. Some of them do it well, some of them do it horribly. But I will have all these foundations listed down below. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out for me. If you have any foundation recommendations, please let me know. I did make a purchase on Ulta. I have 2 foundations coming to me, which would be the Urban Decay Hydromaniac, which I have used in the past and absolutely love, and the e.l.f. satin foundation thing. Those are making their way to me. I really want to try the Patrick Ta foundation because I've heard that is absolutely fantastic, but it's pricey. Thank you so much for watching. If you want, you can follow me on my other socials. I'm artistryxashh everywhere. And if you want some book content, I am Ashley with 2 H's that reads on TikTok and Instagram. If you like this video, make sure you give a thumbs up. Please don't forget to subscribe. So once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day or night whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!